when having a scientific conversation, there will be times where you might want to discuss some pros and cons with the other person. So here in this video, we will have a look at some of the terms and phrases that might help you in doing so. So here, let's start first with the pros. Okay, beside the word pros, you can also use the word a benefit, an upside, an advantage, a positive, or a plus. So all these terms, all these words, basically have the same meaning as the word pros, which is to indicate the positive sides of an issue. Okay, an example of how you can use these words is by saying one upside of delaying our app launch is it will allow us to eliminate any other bugs in a software. Okay, so here in the sentence, we're using example from the word an upside. You can also substitute the word an upside or one upside here with other words that also indicate the same meaning as pros. For example, you can also replace it by the word a benefit. A benefit of delaying our app launch is it will allow us to eliminate any other bugs in the software. Or you can also substitute it with the word advantage. One advantage of delaying our app launch is so on. Right, moving on to the next one. Okay, now we're going to have a look at some of the pros phrases that you might want to use when discussing about pros and cons. But here, pros phrases we use when we want to discuss about the pros aspect of an issue. Some of the phrases that you can use is 1 point in favor of, or you can say 1 point in support of. Next, an argument in favor, or you can say an argument in support of. Okay, another phrases that you can use, another pro phrases that you can use is to be in favor of some issues. All right, next one reason to be in favor of. And last one is one reason I'm in favor of, or one reason I'm in favor. One reason I'm in support of. So students, there's actually a difference between when you're using these phrases with these phrases. There's a difference between these two. When you're saying one reason to be in favor of, what you're trying to say is, let's have a look at this positive side of the issue. But it's not necessarily my personal opinion. I just want us to have a fair discussion of the pros and cons. So when you're using these phrases, one reason to be in favor of, you're not really indicating your personal opinion, but rather a general opinion of the discussion. Okay, let's have a look at the example here. Certainly, one reason in favor of delaying the wedding is that you can have all your friends and family present to celebrate with you. Unfortunately, we just don't know how long you may need to delay. So here, the speaker is not personally voice out his or her opinion, but rather look at it in a general perspective, but in a positive side. Now, the next one, when you're using this phrase, one reason I'm in favor or one reason I'm in support of. When you're using I'm, you are actually personally voicing out your side. And in this case, your side is at the pro side. Okay, example given here. One reason I'm in favor of increasing the budget on the ad campaign is that it will allow us to reach a broader audience. When you say this, you are actually stating your opinion. Rather than the first one here, you are just stating the general view of an issue. Let's move on now to the con side. Okay, in the next slides. Okay, beside the word cons, you can also substitute it with the word a drawback, a downside, a disadvantage, a negative, or a minus. Okay, example given here for the word a drawback. One drawback of this medication is its potential for strong side effects, including nausea and headaches. Okay, for this example, same as pros, you can also substitute the word one drawback with other words that also indicates con. For example, one downside of this medication is its potential for strong side effects, and so on. Or you can also say one disadvantage of this medication is its potential for strong side effects, and so on. All right, now let's move on to cons phrases that you can use in discussing cons. Okay, some of the cons phrases that you can use is the first one, an argument against. Second, you can also use to be against. You can also say one reason not to be in favor or one reason not to be in support of. Okay, let's have a look at the example here given to you. Okay, for example, one argument against delaying our product launch is the fact that we have been marketing our launch date for months and our entire customer base expects us to launch this product by next month. You can also substitute these phrases with another phrases. For example, one reason not to be in favor against delaying our launch, our product launch is the fact that we have been marketing our launch date, and so on. Okay, next, let's have a look at the next slide. Okay, collocations that are usually used when you are discussing pros and cons. Collocation here means a group of words that typically goes together when you talk about something. Okay, for example here, in the situation of discussing pros and cons, usually you will come across these two collocations. Those two are to see both sides or to see all sides of an issue. When you come across this collocation, it means you are trying to weigh the positive and the negative side of an issue in an equal manner. Okay, another tips that you might want to know when discussing about pros and cons. When you want to start a discussion on the pros and cons of an issue in a conversation, you might want to say some phrases or some sentence, something like given in the slide. Example given in the slide here. You might want to say, let's weigh the pros and cons. Or you might want to say something like, let's consider all sides of the issue before we decide. When you are using these phrases, this sentence, you are trying to indicate to the other person that you're having a conversation with, that you are about to start discussing pros and cons, that you are about to initiate a discussion on pros and cons of an issue. Okay, now that we're done with tips on how you want to discuss pros and cons in your conversation. So to summarize, basically what you need to know is some of the similar vocabulary that indicates pros, and also some of the pros phrases that you can use in a pros and cons discussion. Okay, and beside that, we also already go through with some of the similar words that indicate cons, and also some of the cons phrases that you might want to use when you are having a discussion of pro and cons in your conversation. And last but not least, we have just go through on the just now on collocation that usually occur in this when you're discussing about pros and cons, and also some of the signal phrases that you can use, like this too, when you are trying to indicate to the other person that you're having a conversation, that you are about to start a discussion on pros and cons.